Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Reardon, and let's debunk some more videos from TikTok, YouTube and across the internet. This first one was sent in to me by Ruil, and she says, I saw a lot of people try to waffle iron marshmallows, but they ended up burnt. I would love to know if this can be achieved. Technically, yes, you should be able to melt a marshmallow and let it set and pick it up like that. It's going to be tricky on a waffle iron, but I'll give it a go for you. If I put it on minimum heat and spray on a little cooking oil, then add marshmallows. My waffle machine is bigger than theirs, so let's add 4. And then you can see that despite using the oil, the marshmallow has stuck to the waffle maker. And trying to get it off the machine is a frustratingly painful process. It would be great if the parts of the machine that touch the food could be removed so you could soak them, but it can't. So 2 hours later, after trying to clean it, I made a batch of normal waffles to try and get all the little bits of marshmallow off. Normal waffles are ideal for a waffle machine. Okay, attempt number 2. The waffle iron is really well greased and on low, and I'm just leaving it open so the marshmallow can slowly melt over about 3 minutes, because you'll notice in his video it was brown on the bottom and not the top. Now, I think that's looking pretty spread out, so let's spray the top of the marshmallow with oil and quickly press down just a little bit and a bit more oil and do it again. That looks about right. Now, if I try and pick that up now, you can see melted marshmallow is completely soft, so there's no way you could pick it up like they did in their video. So obviously they've left it to cool completely before they got it off. And even when I do that with all of the oil, it is still stuck. My waffle maker does have a more intricate pattern on it than theirs does, but this would have to be the worst method to do this. Let's see what Dave thinks.
Wow. A waffle, you say? Yeah. It's like greasy, sweet. Yuck.
If you want that flavour of toasted marshmallows but you don't have a fire going, I've come up with a much easier method for you to use. Put some non-stick baking paper on a sandwich press, spray it very lightly with cooking oil and add your marshmallows. Then let them melt until they look nice and golden on the bottom. Then move that baking paper onto a cold piece of stone or a block of ice will do to rapidly cool it so we can pick it up off the paper.
It's like an egg minus the yolk. That's pretty good. Bit like a s'mores minus the biscuits. You don't need your own cookies. It's got a nice crispy outer shell, and it's all gooey and yicky and yummy inside. It's pretty good.
Next, there is a new player bursting into the content farm baking space. Life Studio is based in Vietnam and they are producing heaps and heaps of videos across lots of different genres. But today, I'm just focusing on the baking ones like Sweet Story Time, Best Cake, Life Cake, Kawaii Cake Story Time, Cake Story, Spirit Cake Story, My Cookie Story Time, and Bella Cake Story. And don't be fooled by the thumbnails. This video does not have a giant dress cake, no lipstick cake, and no giant chocolate ball. It's just donuts and freak shakes. And no, this one doesn't even mention a giant car cake, and this one is not about a giant dress cake. The cakes in the thumbnail are pure clickbait. I've raised this issue with YouTube in the past with content farms of the thumbnails not matching what the content is, and surely that violates one of YouTube's policies, the thumbnail policy here, where it says misleading viewers into thinking they're about to view something that's not in the video. But the response from the policy team from YouTube was that it's on the same topic, so it's still cake, so it's not really that misleading, it's okay. So I'm really glad that YouTube doesn't sell actual products, because can you imagine if you ordered a life-size 3D car cake and then you got this cake? And if you complained, they would say, well, you ordered a cake and you got a cake, so it wasn't misleading at all. I think we have different understandings of what misleading is. But anyway, the reason I brought these channels to your attention was not the thumbnails. It was actually a totally different reason. If parents are letting these kids watch these channels and they have headphones on, they might think that they're just watching videos that are decorating videos to music, but in reality, you're letting Life Studio make up stories and tell them to your kids.
I want to tell you how I was held hostage by a crazy guy, and I just couldn't get away.
I'm going to tell you a really crazy story of how a student of mine tried to make a move on me.
And while some of them are very unrealistic, like a girl on her way to school, they drop into the shops, she accidentally knocks a gun out of a robber's hand who turns out to be a wanted serial killer who's escaped from jail.
Give me my gun! The robber screamed and lunged at me. My heart was pounding so hard in my chest as I dodged him. I then aimed the gun towards him in an awkward way. He raised both of his hands up in surrender. It was a fantastic experience, but the thought of being late in my first class was distracting me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure after that experience, you don't just worry about getting to school on time. You'd probably have the day off, and most people don't describe being held up at gunpoint as a fantastic experience. But anyway, I assume they're just supposed to be kids' stories and not realistic at all. But then again, they're not really stories I would want kids to listen to. Most of the stories, it is a school-aged child, usually a girl, who is the main character in the story, but they're usually from a neglectful or abusive home life.
She looked at me with burning eyes, and she started approaching me with the chair still in her hands. I immediately hid in my closet, right before my mom took the last swing that was meant for me, but it hit the ground and the chair broke apart.
In other ones, both the parents die in car accidents, and in still others, the dad is really angry with a girl's boyfriend for stealing some of her money, so this is his response.
My dad pulled him inside and threw him on the couch. "Valerie, go upstairs and get your swimsuits," he said. I did as he asked. My dad then forced Aiden to wear them and took many pictures. He forced Aiden to upload them to his own Instagram page.
I don't know what the laws are in Vietnam, but here in Australia, if an adult did that to a child, you'd be up on criminal charges. That's just creepy. And if your kids have been watching these channels, you might need to re-educate them about stranger danger.
Someone knocked on the front door. I opened it and saw a strange, tiny man standing there with a creepy smile on his face. And he smelled really good. He said, "Hi, I'm Noah. I'm looking for your dad. Is he home?" I replied, "No, he's out there looking for a stupid job." I was about to close the door in his face when he suddenly pushed it back open. I screamed. I thought he was going to hurt me. He took off his glasses and told me to stay calm. He looked a lot less intimidating without his glasses on, and his face was softer. I said, "Okay, come on in."
For any kids watching, if you do happen to be home alone, do not answer the door at all. And if you did, you would never let a stranger into your home. That is not a good idea. And despite what you hear in this next story, you should never, ever meet up with someone who you have met in an online forum.
After one of my live YouTube videos, one of my viewers sent a message asking if we could meet. It was a bit strange for someone to be so insistent, especially after what my brother was doing, so I ignored him at first. Then a few days later, he messaged me again. He said he knew how to deal with my brother. He believed me. I agreed to meet him, but I was nervous. What if it's just a stupid prank? I wondered. I went to the coffee shop he had asked me to go to. I didn't even know his name.
And in that story, he turns out to be a handsome knight in shining armor who rescues her from all her troubled home life problems. That is not how that story normally ends. If someone is pressuring you and wants to meet you, you need to tell a trusted adult. If you can't tell your parents, find another trusted adult in your life to tell about that. Do not ever meet someone from online on your own. Not safe, not okay. So cakes have gone from how-to videos where people explain how to make a cake to fast-forwarded videos to music, now to fast-forwarded videos with creepy stories over the top. I cannot predict what will be next on this platform. It is a bit crazy. This next one was sent in to me by Andrew asking, is this legit? They put an egg in a bowl with some Sprite and add some red Skittles. Then they cover it, and 24 hours later, there's a red blob inside a transparent egg. Let's do it. Egg with Sprite, red Skittles, lid on, 24 hours later, And ta-da! The Skittles are inside the egg. No, not really. These are balls of Play-Doh that I made inside a spherical of water. I'm pretty sure the original video just had a toy. This one is much more fragile. So what really happens if you put Sprite and Skittles in a bowl with eggs? All the colour dissolves off the Skittles, turning the Sprite a reddish hue, and the bubbles and weak acid in the drink start to affect the outer layer of the eggshell. And 24 hours later, the eggshell looks blistered, and if you rub it, you can kind of rub off the outer layer of the eggshell. It's pretty gross, and the original was definitely a fake. I'm pretty sure that one was a joke. Speaking of fake content though, someone posted a pirated copy of my book onto Amazon. This is not my book. This is a weird little mixture of stuff that I'm pretty sure was written by artificial intelligence because it doesn't even make sense. It says, butter is the fundamental fixing in this batter formula. You will work it straightforwardly into the flour, framing pea-sized disintegrates. That's the sort of thing that's in here. This is definitely not my book, and a big thank you to Alia from Amazon who helped us get that taken down so that you don't get that anymore. This is my book. This is what my book actually looks like. I took a year writing it. It has beautiful recipes that have all been tested and triple tested and work beautifully, and lovely photos throughout. This is what you want to get. Now, you can get this through Amazon now. The official one has been there all along, but the pirated one is now gone. You can also get it through bookstores. If you're in Australia, you can actually get a signed copy sent directly from us if you order through our website. And people from America and Canada have seen that link and gone, how come we can't get signed copies sent from you? And the reason is postage from Australia is absolutely ridiculously expensive. It would just not be worth your while. So what I have done for you, because it's nearly Christmas, I signed a bunch of book plates and sent them off to my publisher, Mango. And so if you're in the US or Canada, you can order directly from their website. I'll put a link to that below and get a copy of the book with a signed book plate. Next, we have a lady on TikTok who says this is how you wash your chicken before you cook it.
This is how my grandma showed me, my mama showed me, and this is how I do it for me. So you're going to put a little bit of Clorox. They have to be name brand Clorox bleach or it will not taste right. Once you put your Clorox, you're going to take a little bit, maybe about 2 drops of the Dawn dish detergent. Don't put a lot. That's what people mess up at. You only need 2 drops till the water look a little bit hazy. That means the chicken is now clean. Then you're going to rinse it. Right here, my chicken started going down my drainer. I had to bring it back up because it was going down, and I cannot lose my chicken because I only got a little bit. So once I got all my chicken back to the top, of course, I go ahead and hit a little bit of water, rinse it off, and then once I rinse it off, I'm going to go ahead and now start the seasoning.
Where do I start with that one? There was so much wrong with it. Let's begin with letting the chicken fall down the garbage disposal unit and then pulling it out. How many germs are you going to get on it from doing that? It's just, not good. Secondly, using bleach on your food to clean it. No, bleach is not supposed to be ingested. Bleach is an irritant to your mouth and your gastrointestinal tract and your skin. That should not be used on your food. Please don't copy that. Not a good idea. Now, where does that come from? Most people are washing their chicken and going to the extremes of using things like bleach because they think they need to kill the bacteria on the chicken. But the thing that kills the bacteria on the chicken is not washing it, it's cooking it. So you have to cook your chicken really well, and that will take care of all the bacteria, that will kill the bacteria. Even washing it with bleach is not going to kill the bacteria. Bleach needs to be in contact with the bacteria for 10 minutes before it's going to be effective. So research has actually shown that people who wash their chicken in their sink are actually more likely to get food poisoning because they're spreading bacteria all around their kitchen, which this video illustrates beautifully. If we watch it again, you can see this still has bacteria on it. Now her gloves have bacteria on it, and she touches the detergent bottle, so that's now contaminated. Then she touches the tap, so that also has bacteria on it, and now the top of the spice bottle and all the other spices too, and of course the sink itself has bacteria on it too. With that level of contamination all over your kitchen, it's very easy then for bacteria to get onto food that's not going to be baked, like a salad or something else that you could ingest which could give you food poisoning and make you sick. So make sure when you cook your chicken, you bake it really well to kill all the bacteria, and try not to spread the bacteria all over your kitchen before you get it into the oven or the fry pan. From there, on to the headlines that say Facebook gave the angry emoji 5 times the value of a like. Now, while that headline is actually true, it's kind of deceptive because at the time when Facebook introduced all the different emojis that you could respond to posts with, they gave all the emojis a value of 5 times a like. So that wasn't so much an issue. What the issue was that after a year or so, the data scientists started to note a pattern, which was the angry, the wow, and the ha-ha emojis. When they were used a lot on posts, those posts seemed to be the ones that contained a lot of misinformation or hateful content and basically bad posts for people to be exposed to. When they knew that information, they didn't demote the power of those emojis, which would have meant those posts weren't seen as much. They just kept it how it was. They have done so now apparently, but they've demoted the power of all the emojis. Facebook, as well as most businesses, will do experiments and run experiments to see what is going to work for them, what is going to make the most profit, what is going to be best. But because Facebook has access to so much of your data and so much of your interactions, you might be surprised at how personal some of these experiments get. For example, they did one experiment testing what if we show you all negative posts in your feed versus if we show you all positive posts in your feed. And we do that for a whole week. After the week, the posts that you then write yourself, are they going to be mainly negative or are they going to be mainly positive? And they found that in fact, it was true. They could manipulate your emotions. If they showed you positive things, you wrote positive posts. If they showed you mainly negative things after a week, you were writing negative posts. Interestingly, most of these sort of studies or psychological studies would be carried out by a university. And universities have very strict rules whenever you're doing human studies, including psychological ones. The volunteers have to give their consent to be part of it, and they have to have informed consent. They need to know the positives and the negatives of being part of the study. They need to be able to pull out at any time, and they should be debriefed at the end of the study to make sure there's no harm caused to the volunteers. But in this case, Facebook is not a university. They're a private company, so they are not bound by any of those rules. And in their terms and conditions, which you agreed to when you made a Facebook account, it says here, we use the information that we have, including from research partners that we collaborate with, to conduct and support research and innovation on topics of general social welfare, technological advancement, public interest, health, and well-being. And the interesting thing again is most universities will do these studies in order to find out what is good for people, and then people use that research to change policies and do things which are going to make things better for people. But in this case, the main aim is not to do better by you, but to do better by the shareholders.
During my time at Facebook, first working as the lead product manager for civic misinformation, and later on counter-espionage, I saw Facebook repeatedly encounter conflicts between its own profits and our safety. Facebook consistently resolved these conflicts in favor of its own profits.
We need some sort of rules or regulation in these sort of forums to make sure that things that cause harm to people shouldn't be allowed. And we understand the difficulty there of only the people within the company have this information, so they can just keep it all secret, and we don't even know that they know that it's causing harm and that they're making decisions over that. So very interesting topic. If you want to look into that more, you can watch that full video of the testimony that she gave, and I'll link to that below. On a lighter note, lots of people sent me this video. Cake in 1 minute. You'll be making this cake every day. It's a nice enough video when you look at it, but the reason it was sent to me obviously is because it takes longer than a minute to make, even in the video. And if I skip forward, you can see it needs to bake for 35 to 40 minutes. If we click through to the channel, this 1 minute cake has 6.3 million views. But this one over here with a very similar thumbnail and content only has 66,000 views, or 1% of the views, because it says it takes 15 minutes. The YouTube algorithm favors things that have a high click-through rate, and I don't think that's a good idea because then people have to resort to clickbait, and it's hard to do clickbait with baking videos. This one has worked for him, so I'm sure we'll see a lot more videos that say in 1 minute. Obviously, this is going to take more than a minute, but let me time it for you.
It only took you a minute. It started with one little lie.
Even if I don't include the time it took me to weigh out the ingredients, and if I really rush and make a bit of a mess here, I can get it in the oven in 4 minutes, and that included chopping all the apples. So it's a fairly simple recipe.
A 1 minute apple cake? It took you 1 minute?
Yeah, a little bit longer.
Incredible. If I had 60 seconds to spare, I'd cook that. Not bad.
So yes, it was clickbait, but it was easy to make and it tasted good, so go give Max some more views and try out his recipe. It's the only one of his videos that's gone viral for him. Next, let me tell you about today's sponsor, KiwiCo. They make crates that are themed in science, technology, engineering, art and maths for all different ages, and they've just added a new one called Yummy Crate. Each Yummy Crate comes with a gadget and instructions for a food science experiment. This one was all about the Maillard reaction. When you heat food, there's a chemical reaction that happens that causes it to brown and get that yummy flavour and smell. Each crate also has a folder with 3 recipe cards that go with the theme of the crate. You will need to go to the shops to get the ingredients. They can't ship those to you in the crate, but shopping for them yourself allows you to substitute things out if you have any dietary needs or preferences. And then you can start cooking. This is a great family activity. The recipes have all been tested by KiwiCo, and they've tested them with kids, checking that they work. So it will help build up your kids' confidence in the kitchen. Look at that.
Delicious.
Delicious.
There's even a magazine with more information, which is great for home learning. I'll put a link in the description below where you can get 50% off your first Yummy Crate. Now onto a recipe that says it is a 2-ingredient, no-bake chocolate cookie. No flour, eggs, butter or oil. Emily sent this link to me asking if this recipe would work. Well, basically it is just cocoa powder and maple syrup mixed together to make a paste. I did need to use a lot more maple syrup than the recipe said you needed by weight, but if you add enough and you keep stirring, you can make them into balls and then squash it down to make them look like cookies, but you don't bake them and they're actually not cookies.
Oh. Was it cooked?
No.
An oven was the 3rd ingredient, was it? It's a bridge too far.
I don't think baking it would make it any better.
I couldn't make it any worse.
Next, Blossom is into the food hacks again. They're putting sweetened condensed milk into a jar and then microwaving it for 5 minutes to get easy caramel that you can pour on your ice cream. That is not how life works. This is not going to happen like that, but let me show you. I've got my jar and my sweetened condensed milk. Don't you just love how sweetened condensed milk pours and makes little ribbons as it goes in? Now let me microwave that. We are at 1.5 minutes here and it's starting to overflow and it is not caramelized yet. 2.5 minutes and this is really making a mess that I'm not looking forward to cleaning, but it's still not caramel. 3.5 minutes and it's no longer overflowing because there's hardly anything left in the jar to overflow. And at 4.5 minutes it's finally starting to caramelize on the thin bits around the top of the jar, and at 5 minutes it looks like this. Way too hot to handle. I'll have to let that cool before we can take it out. It's definitely not the instant caramel topping that was promised.
I assume it wasn't meant to look like this. You definitely couldn't pour that on your ice cream. It looks like a decorative jar that you'd get at some sort of craft festival. Only stickier. Oh no.
You may remember a little while ago we talked about the dangers of poaching eggs in the microwave because the egg can explode, causing hot water to splash up and go all over you, causing burns usually to the face and the torso. And there's been plenty of news stories about that happening. Well, there were lots of people who wrote in the comments, but I poach eggs in the microwave and that's never happened to me before, and cleverly posted a new video of their top tricks for 2021, which included, yes, you guessed it, poaching eggs in the microwave. And there was yet another news story of someone who got burnt poaching eggs in the microwave, and this is what he has to say.
Cooking eggs, poached eggs in a microwave can sometimes not be a good idea. So if you're squeamish and you don't like bloody or gory things, look away now, because, yeah, fair warning, okay? But yeah, It's a bit better today. I can open my eye and I can see out of it, so just be careful, okay? Don't poach eggs in the microwave, and yeah, just be careful, okay guys? Peace and love, man.
So you can risk getting burnt if you want to, but I would suggest don't poach your eggs in the microwave. Cook them another way and be safe. With thanks to my amazing patrons for your support, you guys are legends. Don't forget to get your copy of the cookbook, and if you liked this video, let the algorithm know by liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, and watching more of my videos. Make it a great week, and I'll see you on Friday.